night, fueling the passion, igniting the light. Through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar, together we roar. The Detroit Lions will rise, with a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. So let's lift our voices, let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. I'm your host, Will Rock, and it is the Monday morning after the Lions' epic win in Dallas. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's going to be a short show today. I do have a meeting this morning, and so I have to leave probably around 9:30, I think. We'll see. We'll see how it goes today. Not a whole lot of research done for today's show. So I'm literally going to do a lot of this just kind of live, truly off the cuff. Take a look at a few things, have some conversations. It was hard to kind of focus last night, you know, after what went down. I mean, such an epic win. And to listen to the guys, you know, and I do want to bring in the guys and listen to the media availability together today and kind of talk about it because, you know, the things that they shared about Aidan Hutchinson last night, I thought that, you know, it was great to hear from, you know, the team and how they felt and what this impact means and how they were able to just refocus, which is key, right? It's key to this week because it's really going to set in today, you know, when Aidan Hutchinson's not in the room today. And that's going to be a key loss for them, but they're going to have to figure out a way to move forward. And the Lions will figure out a way to move forward. And I don't want to make it seem like it's not important, but because it is very important, right? That, you know, you just lost a giant piece of your team. But they have a next game, you know, up. It's already on the docket. They get 1 day to dwell on this, you know, with the Cowboys, which is today. They got 24 hours, and then they've got to move forward. And if they keep themselves, you know, thinking about what happened on Sunday, they're never going to be prepared for this Sunday. And I think the team will be ready. I hope that they're ready because they could still win versus the Vikings. I don't think that there's any reason to think otherwise. A couple of notes that I did write down. I found it interesting last night that Tom Brady said that this is the best Lions team or the best team he has seen in the league so far. Tom Brady says the Lions are absolutely the best team he's seen this year. And his exact quote was, "I think their ability to play on offense with so many styles. They've got this two-headed monster at running back, creative play calling. Everyone got involved. They got Khalif Raymond involved. They just have weapons. But it all starts with the offensive line. The way they dominate the line of scrimmage, you can't get any pass rush on them. Goff back there surveying the field just seems like they've got everything rolling." Brady did continue his remarks about the Lions when he said they're up to the challenge. They're up to challenging people. They're playing aggressive man coverage. They're challenging every single play. It's frustrating when you're a quarterback and there's no easy throws out there. There's going to be they're going to be tough to stop. And that was Brady's conclusion there, noting that the humility and the team-centric attitude under head coach Dan Campbell, which, I mean, it's absolutely incredible how this team is playing. For, you know, firstly, I think that it gets downplayed how important your coaches really are. And Dan Campbell has been, I mean, just perfect for this team, perfect for this city in so many ways. But last night, you could really tell that they didn't just put this in the back of their mind. You know, they knew, and you kind of heard the guys slip up a little bit in the media availability afterwards, where they had mentioned, you know, this is, like Anzalone said, we knew this was going to be a statement game. And people kind of give him a double take, like, what? you know, you guys said earlier in the week that this wasn't going to be, this was just normal business. Of course it was a statement game. You know, they had their hearts ripped out last season because of some really bad officiating. And this season, it's different. We did not let the refs get involved at all. We took them out. You know, we took the refs out just like we took the Cowboys out to the trash bin, opened the lid, put them all in together and said, we own this game. This is us tonight. And I loved every minute of it. Loved every minute of it. Let's welcome in the chat this morning. Who do we have here? We got Trace in the house, Mike P. We got Eric, Trace, David Kadalek, Bruce MacArthur, Fred Peterson, Mike P's in the house, Broski Bear. We just got started, Broski, but we talked about the contract extension yesterday. Which, you know, by the way, I did mention it on Friday as well. I think I do have a little clip. I know I have a clip of me talking about that from last Friday. Who else is in the house this morning? Corey Patterson, Lions fan 7-6, all balls, no D. Everyone's in the house this morning, at least a few people. We got a light crew today. Mateo Navarro, good morning. So good morning to everybody in the chat. I'm glad that you guys are with us this morning. Corey Patterson says, not going to lie, that was a whooping. Yeah, it was a stomp down, beat down. Big Papa's in the house this morning. Absolutely was an incredible win for the Lions. I don't think that you can say that there's another team in the NFL that has had that kind of a game this season. I mean, they didn't even score a touchdown. It was hard enough for them to get field goals. And talking about field goals, Jake Bates is the guy. Like, he's the guy. I mean, he's as perfect as a kicker is going to be. He missed one extra point this season. But he's exactly who we thought he was going to be. And it's exhilarating to watch, you know, the young guys really step up. And I mean, somebody that didn't even kick in college is in making big kicks in a game that we couldn't lose. There's no way we could lose this game. What's a scoregami? I guess I don't understand what a scoregami is. So let me read this by John Breach. It says one of the biggest wins of Week 6 came from the Detroit Lions, who absolutely blew out the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. During the final minutes of the fourth quarter, the only drama revolved around whether the two teams were going to make NFL history. With 8 minutes left to play, the Lions were leading 47-9, but the Cowboys were on the cusp of scoring. With Cooper Rush at quarterback, the Cowboys drove down to Detroit's 5-yard line, but they didn't score any points because Rush ended up throwing an interception. The fact that the Cowboys came up empty was notable because it meant that we got a scoregami. The 47-9 final score marked the first time in NFL history that a game had ever ended with that exact score. Well, I guess I knew that. I knew that was the first time for a score, but I didn't know they called it a scoregami. So this is the 1,087th unique final score in NFL history. 47-9 has never been done before. So, hey, there's another feather to stick in our cap from last night that we made NFL history in multiple ways. See, David Montgomery made NFL history last night. He scored the first rushing touchdown of the game. He scored two, actually, in the game. He has now beat Walter Payton's record for the most consecutive games in a row with touchdowns in a game. So, further pouring on your Bears over there, broski. Corey Patterson says, the first thing I thought about was when Dallas won the Super Bowl, Barry Switzer asked, "Are you having fun now, Jerry?" He wasn't last night. Yeah, Jerry was, that wasn't a good birthday gift for old Jerry. And like I said last night during the stream, I don't expect Mike McCarthy to have his job very much longer. I guess it depends on what Jerry thinks of this season. Does he think that he can make a run? I think that they can make a run to 7-11. That's about it. They didn't even get to 11 last night. That was a good birthday present for Jerry. That was 47-9 sound. Let's see. What else did I have for notes? I think that was it. Other than the Lions, epic win. 5 turnovers. Last night, Detroit Lions could not be denied. Absolutely could not be denied. Where's my notes here on these turnovers? Cooper Rush's interception was kind of an odd duck, man. He just threw it right to us. It just didn't make any sense in why he threw that ball, but hey, we'll take it. We'll absolutely take it. Five players that can replace Aidan Hutchinson. So of course, last night I put out a couple of videos. One being about J.J. Watt, and this is the last season that he says that he's going to be ready, to come back and play. But it's really for the Texans that he wants to play for. And so my question in last night's video is, now that you see what the Lions are doing, would there ever be a chance that J.J. Watt wants to come out of retirement to play for us, to play for the Lions? I don't know that would ever happen. But you would think that if he really wanted an opportunity, you could pick either team. And I think that you're probably going to have a better opportunity with the Lions right now than you are with the Texans. So if he really wants an opportunity to win a ring, like this would be the chance. And he stayed in crazy shape. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, he's washed up. No, he's not. He had more sacks than Aidan Hutchinson did in his final year in 2022 than Aidan's had in any year or anyone else in the NFL. So I think he had 17 and a half, 18 and a half, something like that in his last year playing. You can't deny J.J. Watt. He's only 35 years old. And I say only, but when you look at, if you watch that video, you look at the shape that he's in, he's in better shape now than he was while he was playing football. Now, he's got a little bit of a soft body, because he's not taking the hits, but that just means he's fresh. He's ready to roll. Yeah, BB was all over the place last night, Mike P. He had a great game. There's still no PFF scores. I don't understand that. I looked again this morning, and there was still nothing. I don't know if I have to erase my cookies or what. Let me do that real quick. Let's see if it works now. Still nothing. No PFF scores yet, which kind of puts a downer on doing a morning show when you don't have all the stats. But let's walk through it here. So Lions did also set another record last night. I don't remember the exact phrase of the record, but it had something to do with consecutive scoring. When I can find it again, I'll share it. I'll share it later today. But if we walk through last night's play-by-play real quick here. If you can't tell, I don't have the energy for today. I just don't. Long day. But the play-by-play I wanted to get into. So, of course, the game started off with, a Cowboys field goal. And then the Lions come right back with a Montgomery touchdown. 5 plays. My call out last night was I wanted the Lions to score in 4 plays on that first possession. They scored in 5 plays. And then their second possession for the Cowboys ends in an interception. And then the Lions march down and get a field goal. And then the Cowboys punt. And then the Lions score a touchdown. And then the Cowboys punt. And the Lions score a field goal. And then the Cowboys go down on downs. And the Lions score a touchdown. And then the Cowboys get a field goal. And that was the end of the half, 27-6. The Lions scored on every single possession in the first half. And then they get the ball in the second half and they score a touchdown. And then Cowboys field goal, and then a Lions field goal. And then the Dallas Cowboys fumble. Lions pick it up, march down, and get a field goal. And then Cowboys throw an interception. The Lions pick it up, come back down and score our final points of the game and score a touchdown. The Lions didn't finally go down on downs or we didn't even punt in the game. But we didn't go down on downs until the second to last possession of the game. We went 7 plays, 40 yards, all the way down to the Dallas 31, and Hendon Hooker was sacked. So, I mean, Jared Goff, again, in my opinion, he threw another perfect game. He scored on every possession in this game. We only had one possession where we didn't score, and that's because we put in the backups. Now, I know, speaking of backups, so there was some conversation that we were having last night, and it was, man, you're up by this much. When are you going to put the backups in? Not necessarily, all of the offensive backups, but, some of these young defensive players that just didn't need to be in the game. And I hate to play the what-if game, and hindsight's always 20/20. I recognize that. But would it have saved Aidan Hutchinson's injury? And the answer is no. I don't think that we could penalize Dan Campbell or anybody, Aaron Glenn, for leaving our guys in and not pulling them out at, when you're up by 25 points and, late in the third quarter or whatever. I don't think any of that really matters. As much as I would love to think that, getting our young guys in and giving them some more time, that's as beneficial as that is. I don't want to pour on Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn for Aidan's injury. Like, it's a freak thing that happened. I mean, it really was. Aleem's knee collides with Aidan's wild leg whip, and you get a broken leg. There's really not much else you can say about it. I don't think there's any way you could really prevent that. It is what it is. So let's not pour on old Dan Campbell and AG for this. Don Berg, good morning. Josh Jackson, how you doing? I don't know if Arizona holds his contract. I mean, I know he's always talked about coming back to play for the Texans. I'm not sure. I didn't look. It just popped in my head last night that, hey, I just remembered that JJ was, ready to go and he's still staying in shape and was kind of putting it. He also pumped something out last night that, he was watching the game and really felt for Aidan Hutchinson. So when I saw that, I was like, all right, I'm going to put this video out. At least throw it out there to see. Maybe he sees it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he thinks about it. Maybe he doesn't. At any rate, let's bring in Dan Campbell and let's see what he had to say last night about the Lions win. Make sure you guys have volume here. No audio. What? Hold on. Hold on here. Why is there no audio? 1 second. I just checked it. Let's try this again.
This is the tightest this group has been. This is the tightest this 2024 team has been. We found something special last year, man. I felt it going into this game. Man, it's like we're in here together, and I don't feel people pulling us away. Nobody's coming out of that circle, man. That's exactly where you want to be right now, all right? It's a helpful. This player came up to me last week, and he said, hey, Coach, if I get a takeaway, can I break the team down next week? And I said, if you get 2, you can break them down all week. Well, he got more than that, man. All right, this guy had 6 tackles, had a PBU, 2 PBUs. He had 2 interceptions, and then 1 punch out, man. BB!
Shoot, I just want to say I love y'all boys, and we really finna go on the stretch.
Our division starts this week. That's a great win. Break it down.
Hey, real quick. Our head coach is our rock now. We're in Dallas, in his place where he played game ball.
How about a little kick ass on 3? 1, 2, 3. Kick ass.
All right, that was all great, man. You can tell how emotional Dan Campbell is right now, and he's really feeling it, man. You know, his one of his star players is in a bad way right now, and you could tell that this game had some meaning. I'm glad that Jared Goff did what he did last night and giving Dan Campbell the game ball back. There's a lot of history in Dallas. You know, there's a lot of history for Dan Campbell in a place that he played, right? And as a Lion going up against the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, there's always been bitter blood between us. But Dan being part of both organizations and getting a win now against Dallas is epic for him because he finally gets that monkey off of his back. Jared Goff, though, another 153.8 quarterback rating last night. I mean, just incredible the way that he diced up the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I know that there's a record out there, and I can't find it. I came across it this morning on Twitter. Oh, yeah, do us a favor, get those likes up. I don't know how many people we have in. It could be a light show this morning, but get those likes up. That way we can get ads turned off if they're on. There was some sort of a stat that came across Twitter that had something to do with Jared Goff, and I should have wrote it down because, of course, you know, you move off of it and it disappears. And not everybody comes up with these stats or follows these stats, and sometimes you just have to come across them because they're not things that are normally written down on websites. So if you guys find it, let me know what it is. Send me a message. I don't know exactly what it is, but the fact that Jared Goff, I mean, he goes 18 of 18 last week, you know, the last game, and then he comes in and goes 18 of 25, but he throws another, you know, 153.8 rating. It's just incredible, the way that he's seeing the field right now. Talk about final stats of the night. My question is this: is David Montgomery going to get another Scepter Award? And I think that Kyle Brandt does those today, or maybe he'll do it tomorrow after the Monday night game. Maybe he does it tomorrow. I would be interested to see if he gets 3. That I don't know. I don't think 2's been done, but the fact that if he would get 3, I mean, that would just be completely insane. Is David Montgomery putting himself in position for any sort of MVP talk? Is anyone talking about that yet? I think it would be very difficult for a running back to do that, especially if you're not going to break, like, you know, the all-time yards mark or anything like that. But it's really difficult to get yards in a split backfield. So I would say the answer is no, at least not yet. But the fact that he's going to be a Lion for the next couple of seasons, that was super important to get that done. And Dan Campbell spoke about that as well the other day. Let me bring in Dan Campbell, though. Let's talk about Lions media availability from last night. Again, I'm sure a lot of you have seen some of this stuff, but I would like to recap it this morning. and kind of get some of these takes on air and some things that I was thinking about, last night after the game. Here we go.
Just start, obviously, the other side of the ball, whatever. But when somebody like Hutch goes down, a leader like that, emotional, just how tough is that situation?
Really tough. And he's a guy who's part of the heartbeat of this team, and is a leader, does everything right. He's a great teammate. He's everything you want in a player and a teammate, and to have him go down like that and to be visibly upset is tough for all of us. And he will be fine. He's going to come back eventually, whenever that may be. But knowing him, he will be fine, and he will bounce back.
Just offensively, 9 straight possessions with a score. What has gotten into you guys? 89 points less.
You said 9 straight?
9 straight possessions with a score.
Yeah, that's pretty good,
this
huh?
game. Yeah, just what's gotten into you guys? 89 points last 2 weeks.
Yeah, things started coming together a little bit. Those first 2 or 3 weeks, just kind of finding our rhythm, and it seems like we found it.
The revenge aspect of things was kind of downplayed throughout the week, but when you got here and you went out on that field, did you feel just maybe a little bit more satisfaction in the way you guys were able to get the win today?
Nothing to do with last year, to be honest. This is a completely new team, them and us, and wanted to have a good game, play a good game, and we certainly did on all levels, and everyone played well, and it was the best I've felt coming into a game in a long time, and I know a lot of other people had the same feeling too throughout the week.
How bad did you guys want to get Decker or Sewell a touchdown?
Yeah.
One of your tackles a touchdown?
Yeah, we were joking. We might have thrown two tackles. Yeah, they were close. Both of them were close. Obviously, the penalty on Panay's, but tried to fit that in there to Decker and couldn't make it work. But yeah, they were close.
Did you realize how early and how often you guys would run tackle eligible today?
We did on the first play, right? Yeah, I don't know how much we did it after that. We typically do it inside the 5 quite a bit. I don't think we were doing it more for any purpose.
David got the extension yesterday.
Yeah.
Had the 16-yard touchdown to open today, 2 touchdowns overall. What does he mean to this team, I guess?
Yeah, he means as much as anybody. He really is a special player, a special teammate. One of my favorites of all time. I think I've told him that and he makes me laugh. So he's one of my favorite teammates, but he's a special guy. He really is, and I'm so happy for him with the extension. He's playing at a really, really high level right now, and you look around the league at all the running backs, I don't know if you're going to find one who's playing better. So it's fun to have him on our team. And Gibbs is right there too. I mean, it feels like we got 2 of the top 5 backs, 3 backs. I don't know. Like we got a good stable there.
Jared, Alex said he wanted to make a point with the stage playing the Cowboys, not because of last year, but just the opportunity this year. Make a statement for the Lions. You feel that, I assume?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, you're on the road against an NFC contender, and we're starting this little stretch here where this was our first road game of a few more to come, and yeah, we wanted to come out and play well. They're a great team, and we were able to get on top of them today and do our thing.
Jared, talk about NFC contenders. Every team in the NFC North has at least 2 games above 500. What does that say about this division?
Yeah.
Let me pause this real quick. Kyle Defoe in the chat is a Cowboys fan, said good morning to Lions fans. Huge win in Arlington, huge loss for our team, but he wanted to give prayers up to 97. Absolutely respect you, Kyle Defoe, and thank you for coming into a Lions chat this morning and wishing Aidan Hutchinson well. Really appreciate you, bro.
I'd say the division's good. The division's really good. It's tough. It's obviously really good division. It's probably the best division in football right now, and yeah, and I think it says that there haven't been many division games played actually, so that's a little misnomer there. But yeah, it's a good division. It's a tough division.
The trick plays is part of the benefit of those, a little bit demoralizing to the defense and all. Like, can you feel the air coming out?
That's not why we do them now at all. No, it's just whatever their defense presented this week, presented the opportunity to run some of those plays, and if they were in. That doesn't mean they're all going to get called. I think Ben had a pretty good rhythm going today and knew that we were moving the ball pretty good. So when that's happening, typically they do get called a little bit more, but we typically have a lot in every week. They just don't always get called. All right, thanks.
All right. To shout out there to Brent, he says, hey, Detroit family, did we find out more about Hutch? So last I heard, he was heading into surgery last night, and it's been recorded as a broken tibia. Not sure if the compound component, which is just breaking through the skin, not sure if that's still valid or not. There's not really much, and I haven't read every single story because there are so many. There are so many, but let's go through this one 52 minutes ago. Let's see if they say anything different. So Detroit Lions defensive end Aidan Hutchinson was carted off the field during the third quarter with the Lions matchup with the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. Hutchinson left the field after he sacked Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott on a second down play. Hutchinson was tackling Prescott when his left leg appeared to collide with a teammate, which was Aleem McNeil. The Fox broadcast did not show a replay of the injury, which Fox deemed to be too gruesome. Hutchinson was on the field for several minutes before he could be carted off. Obviously, players from both teams gathered around him as he was taken to the locker room. And Dan Campbell said that Hutchinson underwent immediate surgery at a Dallas area hospital for a fractured tibia. Now, that's it. That's all it says. So no real update as of 52 minutes ago. I mean, I guess it is what it is. Does it really matter, I guess, at this point? I mean, he's done. Whether it's fractured, compound fracture, whatever, he's done. And now the Lions are going to have to move forward without him, but always with him, you know? I want to see the Lions wear a 97 sticker for the rest of the season. I don't know about you guys, but I want to see them wear a 97 sticker or something on their helmet. So anywhere you're at on social media today, do me a favor. Shout out Rocked On Detroit Lions and then put, pound 97 sticker or, Rocked On Detroit Lions wants the Lions to wear a 97 sticker on their helmet for the rest of the season. Something. But shout me out. Put it out on all your social medias. Let's get the Lions to do it. I know that is like a super special, rare thing that they do. Probably not going to happen, but man, if we can get enough people to pound the social media with it and tag the Detroit Lions, right? Tag the Detroit Lions PR team and all that stuff if you're on Twitter. I'm not sure what they have on Facebook other than just the Detroit Lions, but tag them all. And of course, tag us too. That would be great. Let's get a 97 sticker on their helmets for the rest of the season. Man, just, again, last night, I was really tied up in my emotions with the whole thing because it's like you're playing such a damn good game and it's overshadowed by, something like that. And I don't want to keep pounding the drum, but we're barely 24 hours away from it, right? I mean, we're like not even 12 hours past the injury. And I mean, it hits you different. Like it was hard for me to even do the rest of the stream. It's not like I had a ton of people in there last night. I screwed up my stream just like this morning. Somehow it was screwed up. I don't know what's going on. I use the same stream key and for some reason it doesn't bring all the information over. It changes some things, which might be my fault, but probably is my fault. But anyway, it was really hard to do the stream last night and to really want to talk, but just like it is this morning, it's like I was deflated last night. I didn't stay up and do any work for the show this morning. I just kind of said, forget it. I got something to eat and it was like, I'm just going to watch the press game or the post game media. And that was it. Really wasn't much else to do because it totally took the wind out of your sails. And I feel for Hutch, man. And I know a lot of people are saying, everyone thinks that I'm like a Hutch hater or something. That's never been the case ever. I'm just critical because this is what I do. I mean, I look at stats and I talk about the games and about their performances. And I've always stayed true to one thing, and that's I give my praise, I give my cookies to the guys that always deserve it. And Hutch always deserves it. But I also give them the criticism when we see things that they can do better. And last night was no different. I mean, Aidan was having a good game. He does not have to blow up the stat sheet to have a good game. Matter of fact, the games that he doesn't blow up the stat sheet are some of his best games from a discipline standpoint, or from how well he's playing in the game and allowing Aleem McNeil to get free on his second sack. I don't know if you guys heard that from Aleem McNeil last night, but it was because the way that Hutchinson blew up his tackle on that play that allowed Aleem to push his guard into the tackle. They kind of tripped over each other that allowed Aleem McNeil to get free. And so when I talk about those things and I say, you know, Aidan does more things when he's not trying to get too far deep, or, you know, when he's not trying to do a spin move, when he's just playing disciplined football, he affects the game so much more positively than just getting a bunch of sacks. And that's why I've always been that, you know, maybe the only one that stands off to the left here and says sacks are not everything. They're really not. I mean, they're great. They're great when you need them, right? Especially if it's a game that, you know, it's real close and you're getting down to the wee moments of time left on the clock, and you need a 3rd and 9 to be a sack, and you flip the field. Yes, that's when sacks are great, and they really help. But it could also be a handoff that turns into a TFL. Same thing, just as good. So don't ever put me in that box that, you know, I dislike Hutch because he's a Lion. He's part of this team. I support every single player on this team. It's just some players you talk about more than others because he's up here. You know, we hold him to the highest standard because he's that good of a player and that great of a player. And I just feel bad for him, man. Like his journey back to the football field is going to be tough. And I just hope that he has all the support, which he does, from fans, you know, from the medical teams, his teammates, his coaching staff. He's got all the support in the world, and they're not doubting for 1 second that he's going to come back. And that means a whole heck of a lot because we need him back. We really need him back. They need to play the rest of the season for Hutch. Like that's, and not to discredit any of the other injuries, right? They should be playing for Marcus Davenport. They should be playing for John Kaminsky. They should be playing for any of the other guys that have been banged up and injured that aren't able to play the rest of the season. So I don't want to discredit any of the other guys, even though Davenport was only on the team for, you know, a couple of games, you know, half a season, whatever. He's still part of this team, and I hope that he's back next year. I really do. I hope we see him back. All right, shoot me some questions in the chat, and let me know what you guys want to talk about the rest of the morning. I wanted to pull up some more media here. Hold on a sec. Dog's over there having crazy dreams. I wanted to get the locker room takes from some of the other media members, but let me bring that up now.
Yeah, it was a good job, bro.
Let's start with David Montgomery. You can tell it's movie day in class when I don't have a lot prepared. I'll be more prepared tomorrow. We'll have a much better show tomorrow. But it's movie day, class. We're going to be watching movies today. So hold on a second.
Congratulations on the extension. Just how happy were you to get that done? Know you're going to be here through 2027. And
Peter, I'll come back to your question as soon as we get back.
Yeah, I was definitely excited to know that we were able to get that done. And, you know, just knowing that to be at a place where I feel like I'm wanted and, you know, I'm able to showcase what I can really do. I'm really appreciative, and I'm so blessed that God has enabled me to be in a position to where I could give him the glory for the things that he's granted me with. And, yeah, I'm just happy that I get to be here for the next couple of years.
At what point did you realize that you wanted this to be your forever home?
When I first signed my first contract here.
Was that immediate?
Yeah.
The conversations you had with Brad and Dan, or I guess can you?
Yeah. Coach Campbell was very adamant in expressing how much he wanted me here and how much he felt like he needed me here. So I feel like, you know, Coach Campbell being who he was for me and to me when I first stepped here, it made me want to, you know, kind of go hard every opportunity that I got. So, yeah, I'm happy that I'm able to be here a lot longer.
To that end, not just you, but the extensions with the other guys. You know, Jared's got an extension, St. Brown, Panay's probably coming up. How does that flow into...
You said Panay's coming up? You must have missed a little bit of time, big dog.
That was absolutely hilarious last night. Whoever this guy, must have been a Dallas guy asking the questions here, because he clearly didn't know that Penei Sewell got a record-breaking contract last night. So or record-breaking contract this season. And he mentioned last night, Panay was coming up. Yeah, well, he was part of the big three, during the offseason here before the season started. So it was kind of funny how Demo handled that one. Probably regrets how he said it, but whatever. I think it was funny.
Can you the fact that the guys, the nucleus is, signed together, how does that strike you?
I don't really understand your question.
The fact that it's not just you with an extension, but supporting cast and you guys together having extensions.
Yeah, I think it's big. You keep a certain group of guys together, the catalyst of this organization, and being able to start something that you can kind of build around. We got some great core dudes and those guys that we were able to get extended, and gratefully I was able to get extended myself. So I'm just happy to be a part of it.
You guys just offensively scored 89 points the last 2 weeks. You guys are just really clicking. What is it about these last 2 weeks that have just kind of fallen in place for you guys offensively?
Yeah, I think it was a period in the beginning of the season where we kind of like trying to figure out our identity and trying to put all the pieces together. And I think now we're starting to execute a lot more. And the funny thing is we're not even all on the same page. Just, small things here and there that we can clean up and, that we could really, the sky's really the limit for us. So I'm excited to see what's next.
Speak about the identity of this team. They are a strong-minded group, but you see the injury of Aidan Hutchinson that one of your teammates. Just your thoughts on that.
So before he talks about Aidan here, sky is the limit for this team. I mean, I think they've displayed enough so far throughout the season. I mean, they've been through major ebbs and flows this season where the Detroit Lions, they've been down on their luck, right? Battling in tough games, games that are, really tight, and they're able to find a way to win. Or conversely, game was really tight against Tampa Bay. They just couldn't find a way to get over the hump. Lions are 4-1 right now. There was never any need to panic. Of course, we should be 5-0. We expected to be 5-0 right now at this part of the season. Like, this was the biggest game in the Arizona game to me that I felt the Lions were going to have the most trouble with. Clearly, the Arizona game was no trouble for us. And then handling the Seahawks, I think you've seen the Lions go through the hardest part of their schedule up until this point, and it's not going to really get any easier with the division games that we have up next. I mean, either the NFC North teams outside of the Lions haven't been tested, or we're going to have a very big test starting this next game. And that's going to come, to fruition here in about 6 days, where we're going to see, are the Minnesota Vikings frauds again, or are they for real? I firmly believe that they're for real. And I believe their defense is for real, but I believe that our offense playing at, the clip that it is right now is going to be very difficult to stop for any defense out there. But let's listen to what David has to say about Aidan.
Why do you feel like this team is equipped to not obviously get past him easily like that, but just for other guys to step into that role, or what he was able to do as well?
Yeah, one thing that you learn in this league, it suck, but injuries is a part of the game, and you got guys who prepared to go in, and Coach Campbell is sure to allow people to know that, look, anything is liable to happen, and the next guy got to be ready. But my prayers go out to Aidan. It's an unfortunate loss for us, a big blow for us, and it's just more personal for us now because the kind of guy that Aidan is, the kind of character that he has, and what he brings to the locker room and to this team. So I know for me personally, I'm gonna take it real personal for a guy like Aidan because he was a heartbeat of this team, and he still will be.
Jared Goff said you're his favorite teammate he's ever had. I mean, he's been in the league 9 years.
Yeah.
Plays with a lot of guys. Just maybe hearing that from your quarter, what does that mean to you, and why is that relationship maybe?
Yeah. JG, that's my guy.
I have never heard JG say that Monty was his favorite player that he's ever played with. I think JG better be careful now. He's going to have some other players wondering what's going on, unless he says that about everybody. I didn't hear JG say that. I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's interesting. I mean, look, Monty is as real as they are. I mean, he's as real as they come. I mean, the guy is all about his business. He puts in the work. He's a great teammate. Clearly, he has a vision of himself that is far beyond what anybody else is going to see. And he's been through it. We talked about David this week and, some of the mental health challenges that he's gone through, with the fantasy football owners, jumping all over him. and where that could have led to. And you know, thankfully, he came out of that, and he came out of it on the other side to where he is now. And now we're seeing, you know, a guy that is just producing, and he's in such a great place in Detroit, where he is supported not only by his coaching staff, but his players and the fans, and he's just in a really good place right now. So it's imperative that we keep these players in a good place. They're going through it right now. This team, you know, even after slaughtering the Dallas Cowboys last night, their backs are up against it. They have lost a lot of really good players this season, and they still have a few on the mend. So we got to keep these guys, you know, held up in positivity as much as we can.
We joke all the time about his speed and stuff, like how fast he really is and what he really ain't. But you know, Jared's a great leader, and he leads in a way where it's infectious to everybody around you. And you know, you want to be a part of that. You want to be around a guy like that. So I'm just happy that he gave me that compliment.
Dan, I know there's also said just a minute ago that you inspire him and that he wants you make him want to put the pads back on. What does that mean to you to hear that from your coach?
I hope that you talking about Coach Campbell? Yeah, it'll never be possible. You know, but if I could get in some pads with Coach Campbell, it'd be kind of cool to see him in front of me.
Question for you. Earlier you mentioned catalyst of the team. Can you?
All right, so I mean, then again, last night you had Coach Campbell talking about the fact that he wanted to play with Demo here and would love to put on the pads. Dan was really emotional last night. I think this win meant so much to him, you know, beyond just you know, the win itself. It's who he's doing it with, who he's surrounded by, and what he's doing for the city of Detroit, and how this group of players is so different. We really have something special here. You know, this group of guys is an extension of last season, but it is a new team, and they're building their own legacy. Last year, they built their own legacy, and it ended when the season ended. They started fresh with a new idea and how they were going to attack this season and what the season was going to mean to them. Obviously, it takes more, is the meaning that they wanted to take away from last season. It took more. It took 30 minutes more. It took one game more, one win more. It all took just a little bit more. And this season, you're seeing all of these guys just go a little bit more, a little bit harder each and every play. And I think that's why Dan Campbell was so emotional last night, because he's seen his players really take up the energy of their coach, you know, of the city, and put all of that energy into every game, every play, every moment. And it's really fun to watch, and it's fun to listen to.
Spell catalyst for us?
Oh my gosh, I didn't know this was a spelling bee. But Craig Reynolds, I'm just gonna try to focus on something else other than spelling stuff out. Yeah.
David, I know there's a lot of division games left, but what does it say about the division that every team's at least?
What did I miss right there? What is he talking about? Hold on.
Yeah, I know this was a spelling bee. It'd be kind of cool to see him in front of me.
Question for you. Earlier you mentioned catalyst of the team. Can you spell catalyst for us?
Oh my gosh, I didn't know this was a spelling bee. But Craig Reynolds, I'm just gonna try to focus on something else other than spelling stuff out. Yeah.
David, I know there's a lot of division games left, but what does it say about the division that every team's at least?
What? Who is this moron asking him to spell catalyst? I totally missed that last night. What? I mean, sorry about my language. What a dickbag. Like, what is he trying to prove here? I don't know who that guy is, but he needs his credential pulled.
I don't know. Maybe we should ask Craig before you try to get up out of here. Craig, you didn't hear the question? See, crazy, right? Yeah, I think it's important for us to, go back to the drawing board, realize who we got next. We got a big team, a hard challenge next in the Vikings. That's a really good team over that way. But
was that Craig? I thought it was someone in the room. Okay. I mean, I guess I would feel better there if that was a media member. I'd be like, wow.
I think we'll be ready for the challenge. We'll prepare this week, go back to the drawing board and clean up the things that we didn't do so well today. But yeah, it'll be a big challenge for us, and we'll be ready for it.
Maybe just start with, obviously, with Hutch. That's obviously a tough one. Just what he means to you guys for the.
All right, I'll come back to Anzalone here in a minute. I'll take a break from that for just a moment. So there was some information that I was trying to pull up while we were playing that, and I wanted to run through some stats again real quick because I thought I just saw PFF. It's coming alive.
Come out there.
Go back and check. Oh, shoot. That must have been a different. Come on, PFF. Let me go to Pro Football Reference real quick. There was some stats last night that were quite big to talk about this morning. Wish I had a media packet. They get all these stats right after the game. Okay, so I'm just going to dip into the box score again last night. So, or the play-by-play. Lions' first drive. It's only 5 plays. So Dan Skipper reports is eligible, right? Monty runs left. It was for 5 yards, and then it was an incomplete pass to Jahmyr Gibbs, which that ruined the opportunity for Jared Goff to break an NFL record. But it is what it is. They could care less about records. They just want to win the game. But then it was Tim Patrick, man. Tim Patrick catches his first pass of the game. He is the third play of the game for the Lions. A guy that's only been around for a few weeks was the third play of the game. 42 yards. Huge. Explosive. That's one explosive. In their first possession, they had one explosive. And then their second possession of the game, they had, let's see here. Jamison Williams had a catch for 15 yards. Now, depending on which site you look at, explosives are usually 20 or more or 15 or more. I'm going to call 15 or more an explosive. It's kind of on the bottom end, but I'm going to call it an explosive. So that's 2 so far through 2 possessions. And that was it for that drive. And then the third possession. Let's see. This doesn't make any sense. It says touchdown, but Jared Goff pass incomplete to Brock Wright. And then it was a pass short left to Amon-Ra St. Brown for 11 yards. Then Jared Goff deep pass. Oh, there we go. Sam Laporta. So 52-yard pass by Sam Laporta. I don't know why I wasn't seeing it at first. But another three-play drive for the Lions. One more explosive. So they've had an explosive on every drive so far. 4th drive ends in a field goal. But they had an explosive to David Montgomery on the ground for 19 yards or 17 yards. So that's 4. And then a pass that's to Amon-Ra St. Brown for 16 yards. That's 5. And then you had, where was it? I think that was it. So you got 5 through 4 drives. You got 5 explosives. 5th drive. Tim Patrick again. 2nd and 9 from the Dallas 37. 18 yards. So that's 6 explosives. I guess I should be careful with what I'm saying here about explosives, huh? I'll have to use a different term. And that, I think that was it for that drive as well. Because they reversed the Tim Patrick touchdown, but that was only 9 yards. You know, last week I called it Tim Patrick was going to get a touchdown in this game. Oh, so close. Oh, so close, Tim. All right, so we're at 6 big plays of the game so far, and we get into our that was the end of the half there. So then the Lions get the ball back in the second half, or to start the second half. And immediately they get a pass off to Gibbs for 20 yards. So that's 7. And then they had the J-Mo Williams 37-yard touchdown pass. So that's 8. And then the Lions' 7th possession. They had a pass to Khalif Raymond. He was pushed out of bounds at the Dallas 21. 38 yards. So that's 9. David Montgomery, one on the ground, another one. So that for 19, that's 10. And we'll see how these are all recorded. Obviously, some are going to be by air, some are going to be by ground. And if they do 20 or more, then we're going to have, a few less, because I'm counting a lot of 18, 19-yard catches as big plays. So that was it through that possession. Next possession, that ended in a field goal. Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs up the middle for 15, so that's 11. Prior to that, a short pass to Jameson Williams for 24 yards, that's 12. I mean, this is just insanity. Absolute insanity. And then we had a one play 4-yard touchdown. What was this? Oh, that was an interception return by Brian Branch for 47 yards. 47 yards on an interception. Almost scored, man. Almost got in there. And then on the play that we went on downs, that was Hendon Hooker. So 12 big plays in this game. And there's going to be a separator in here once I get the final stats, that more than half of those were over 25 yards. And I think more than 5 of those were over 30 yards. There's got to be some sort of a small record in here for the Lions this season, but that was big time work by the Detroit Lions last night. Big time work. I mean, they were just, everything was working for them. Yeah, so talking about Carlton Davis, he's in concussion protocol right now. So he was one of the only other injuries that we had in the game that was meaningful between him and Hutch. But I saw 2 helmets come off last night. Amik Robertson's helmet came off early in the game, and Carlton Davis, obviously just bad luck, right? The way that he landed, and then, cleat to the head. I'm not sure if that was friendly fire cleat or if that was Dallas Cowboys cleat. I haven't gone back to watch the play to see, if there was any ill intention there. I'm going to probably go with there probably wasn't. Just a freak play. But why are helmets flying off? And so, I mean, the equipment guys got to get on this. Like, their helmets shouldn't be loose at all. There's no reason for these helmets to come off. Like, their chin straps shouldn't just pop off like that easily. Let's see here. So you guys were talking about Peter Van Larhoven. I said that I would come back to your question. He says, so at this point in time now, is this mean that Brad Holmes is going to have to make a move? So we talked about this last night a little bit. And here's my official take on a Monday until I dig more into who's available and what's going to happen. And that may not even matter. But here's my take. We've seen a lot of fans or other channels clamoring for another defensive end for a long time. A long time. And Brad Holmes went interior. And then he went back end with cornerbacks. Obviously, the right defensive end position was never a major need to Brad Holmes. If you look around the league, it is very rare that you are going to have 2 stud defensive ends on one team. In a 3-4 defense, it's different, right? You have a couple of outside linebackers that are your pass rushers. It's more likely to have 2 stud outside linebackers than it is to have 2 defensive ends. Why is that? Does anybody know why? I'll give it a few seconds, but the reason why is because that position is a position that has always been light. There's not a ton of bodies that fit that profile. To find a defensive end that is 6'4", 6'4.5", 6'3.5", whatever, and 245 to 265 pounds that can run a sub 4.7, extremely hard to find. That have 33-inch arms, right? That have really good bend, that have a plethora of hand fighting skills and pass rushing moves. That's why they usually just gain another 20 or 30 pounds and they become a defensive tackle. If they're able to move, they just would rather put their use to being a defensive tackle and being really fast off the snap and working their way towards the passer that way. That's why you see guys like Josh Pascal, who's a hybrid, John Kaminsky, who's a hybrid. Levi O is starting to be a hybrid, but he's DT all the way, in my opinion. Wingo, he's kind of a hybrid. It is very difficult to find dominant pass rushers that play the end position. And END is the ticket here. It's easier to find linebackers that are 240 pounds. That's just the way it's been for a long time. So to have, 2 dominant defensive ends, and we're talking extremely dominant because you're asking for players, or a lot of people have been asking for players that are top 20 in the league to be on this team. So to have those kind of players on this team on a 4-3 defense, a 4-3 base defense, very difficult. Not going to happen, right? Or it's going to cost you a boatload of money. Right now, Aidan Hutchinson's plan is to come back, right? He's going to be out for probably the next 9 to 12 months. He might come back right around the same time, that we are right now next season. So how do we attack this? Here's my take. Brad Holmes probably isn't going to do a whole lot. And I know that sounds alarming. But right now, he already brought in 2 guys this last week. He brought in Cam Gill and he brought in Al-Quad Muhammad. And you're like, who? Right? I mean, both of those guys play defensive end. They also play linebacker. So they're tweeners. They're more of those hybrid guys. You might see a little bit of a schematic change with the defense. Minor schematic change. We might have 5 guys up on the line more often. We might be in a 5-2-4 more often, as opposed to, the 4-3 more often. And you can still disguise everything in a 4-3. We may just have more guys up on the line. We may have more linebackers in the game. You may have 4 linebackers in the game versus 3, because you're going to want speed off the edge. We have Isaac Ukwu. Played decent last night. Don't know his grade. Haven't watched all the snaps yet. Mitchell Agudi. I don't think he was even. I don't think he played last night, right? I don't think he did. I don't think he did. This is why I need to get into the stats later on this afternoon. Right now we have a nucleus, right? We have a core that knows this defense. And we've seen this defense progress now over 4 seasons. And it's finally at a point right now where these players know what they're doing. They're playing fast. They're playing fearless. They know where to be, when to be there, what their assignments are. So to just bring in some random that doesn't know this defense doesn't mean that we're going to have success. So what I see happening right now is the bottom is going to work its way to the top. Josh Pascal is going to be our primary edge now. And the Lions are probably going to go out and grab some second-tier guys. And I'm not saying that Brad Holmes is going to be out on grabbing a dynamic playmaker. And what I said last night is, okay, so Brad Holmes was probably going to extend Aidan Hutchinson this next season, right? After 3 years as a first-round draft pick, you can finally get an extension after 3 seasons. And I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but Aidan Hutchinson was probably due to get $150 million next year, or close to. Not sure how many seasons that would be for. So the Lions, unfortunately, just saved $150 million next year. Aidan's probably going to end up playing through his 5th-year option. I can't imagine that Brad Holmes would just willingly give an extension for that kind of money, not knowing what kind of player Aidan's going to be when he comes back, because we have no details right now. We have none. We don't know if there's nerve impingement, impact. We don't know anything right now about Aidan. So until we know more, until we can see Aidan back on the field, I can't imagine that Brad Holmes would be that wild with that kind of money. So you just saved $150 million. So does that mean now you can spend the money? Probably. You could probably bring in a guy that maybe has 2 years left on his contract, can play for us for 24, 25, maybe through 26. But I would expect that we're going to get Davenport back next season and Aidan at some point next season. Davenport's going to be able to play much quicker. So Davenport's going to be able to come back next year and probably fit in as our number 1 end while Aidan is still rehabbing. But we would still love to have a faster speed end, right? That's what Aidan was. He was more of our speed rusher. Davenport was our big end. You know, he was the can crusher. So those are 2 definitive positions on this defense. We need a speed end and we need a can crusher. Well, right now, Josh Paschal's playing the can crush, and he's going to have to slide over and he's going to have to play the speed end. That's just not his style. So we're not going to get a ton, of sacks that way, just with speed. But you're going to see, like what we saw last night, more interior pressure getting to the quarterback, which has always been my way to the quarterback. It's always been the way. I don't know where we got lost into thinking that defensive ends and pass rushers was the way. Just because we've had a few that have had some success over the last 10 years or so doesn't mean that the center of the defense hasn't always been the method to getting to the quarterback. It always has been. So if we can get really good interior pressure, I wouldn't be opposed to adding another really good defensive tackle. But I would expect Brad Holmes to draft a number 1 overall defensive end next year. And I said that wrong. Excuse me. I would expect Brad Holmes to use our first-round draft pick next year in drafting a defensive end early. Now, it's going to depend on where the defensive ends kind of fall, in the first round. It's typically very difficult to get a day 1 starter that's going to be anything close to what Aidan is, at the bottom of the first round. So either he's going to have to move way up into the first round and secure, a top flight defensive end in the top 10, or Brad's going to do what Brad does, and he's going to find somebody in the second round that can be a game changer. And I would say that, those players are there. They do exist. There's a few players that I asked for him to get over the past couple of seasons. Will McDonald was one. Kobe Turner was another. Mozzie Smith was another. Those are 3 players. Jared Verse was another. Those are 4 players that were on my radar. And I'm sure that, Jared Verse was on a lot of people's radars. But those were 4 players that I thought could be very impactful within this defense. Now, Kobe Turner, he was like a 4th, 5th round selection at the time that I was calling for him to be taken in the second round by Brad Holmes. And I can't remember where he was taken exactly. I thought that he was taken at the end of the first or early second. And he's turned out to be an absolute dog. If we had somebody like that on this team right now next to DJ Reader and Ali McNeil, it would be lights out getting to the quarterback. I expect us to utilize our strength right now, which is the interior defensive tackle position. Broderick Martin is on his way back, and I know that you're not excited about Broderick Martin because he hasn't done anything yet, but let's just assume that he comes back and he's able to, play pretty well. right? Better than what we've seen. But this preseason, he was playing pretty well. He was getting good, good pressure. He was moving the pocket. He's a big man, extremely big man, that he can handle those guards and those tackles. I would love to see a formation where you have Josh Pascal, Ali McNeil, DJ Reader, Broderick Martin, and, Mekhi Wingo or Levi Onwuzurike. I mean, you got your bigs in there. And those guys, some of those guys can move. But you have those, 4 or 5 bigs, and you're just pressing the quarterback. You're going to put a lot of man-to-man on the back end. Right? You're going to have to put a lot of weight into that. Those corners and those safeties are going to have to stick to those receivers if we do go big up front. And those linebackers are going to have to be able to cover. And you're going to have to be able to get to the quarterback in under 2.75 seconds for it to work. And it can work. But I expect to see us doing a little bit of a scheme change. Maybe we go a little bit bigger up front, a little bit heavier, putting even more pressure on the offensive line. When you think about it, if you have to double DJ and if you have to double Aleem, and you should double Broderick Martin because of his ability and his size, well, that's 6 assets you have to give up to 3 guys. Somebody or 2 or 3 guys are going to be free. More linebacker blitzes is probably what we're going to see. You're going to see the front guys probably holding the line, right? Getting pressure on the quarterback, but holding the line, stopping the run. And you're probably going to see a little bit more linebacker and DB blitz action coming from Aaron Glenn. That's my overall take. That's my overall take. So it is, it's a good problem to have. We have a pretty deep roster right now. And I'm not saying that we don't need another pass rusher. I'm not saying that, and by pass rusher, I mean the speed rush position that is now left behind because Aidan is done. It's just a $20 to $25 million guy may not make sense. Max Crosby, we're going to hear it. Max Crosby's, I spoke about TJ Watt or JJ Watt last night because he's somebody that no matter what defense it is, the dude's going to produce. I mean, he is a consummate professional. He knows how to play the game. And he's been away. He's fresh, so it may take him a minute to get up. And I'm not saying that there's even a snowball's chance in hell that J.J. Watt's going to make this squad or want to come and play for the Lions. But if there's an opportunity out there, if it ever does exist for a player like that to come, this would be the time. There's only so many opportunities you're going to get to play for a coach like Dan Campbell. And there's a lot of players that would love to play for Dan Campbell right now and this team. This defense is going to have to continue to help this offense. And we saw, last night, a perfect marriage between defense and offense. Defense did their job. They turned the ball over 5 times. That was one of my biggest keys to the game, is we had to win the turnover margin. And we won it. We didn't give the ball up once. We were +5 last night in turnovers. And now you give the ball back to the offense, and they scored on every single possession. The only possession we didn't score in was the very last possession that Hendon Hooker was in. He was just in to get his legs wet, get his feet wet, run around a little bit, which was good for him, but we didn't do much with it. So, yeah, if he was put on IR, right? So I'm not sure if that's a 4-game IR. I think it is. I think it's a 4-game IR. They should have just put him on IR earlier, but there's probably some sort of gymnastics with that whole thing that I'm just not seeing right now, that I'm not, it's not popping off to me. I'm sure that there's a reason why. Why is PFF so damn slow? Let me sign in here. Maybe that's part of the problem. Because I was signed in earlier. Now it's saying that I haven't signed in. Nope, still not there. Let's see. Ed O'Neill says Vikings game will tell us a lot about our D in your opinion. And thank you for the super chat there, $1.99. Appreciate it, Ed. Let's get you Gibbs TD. I'm going to change all of these, by the way.
There it goes outside 20. Gibbs 15. Gibbs 10. Angling to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Oh, baby, what a run.
I'm going to change the Dan Miller calls to last night. I'm going to go and listen to the Dan Miller calls from last night and see what we find. I can't imagine that these stats from from yesterday are the stats that are on PFF. Yeah, they're not updated yet at all because it's still showing where Aidan only has 40 pressures, which we know he has more than that. PFF is slow. I wish that I had the team report from last night. It would be really beneficial. So maybe I'll do another video later today where we talk about, the stats and that helps me really drive a show to talk about the game. So Monday and Tuesday, we'll talk about the past weekend. Wednesday, we kind of move forward, start getting ready for Minnesota. And I'm still waiting to see if I can get a crossover this week with Minnesota, a Minnesota podcast. I haven't seen a response yet, but we'll see if we can't get somebody on. So, who do you guys want? Let me ask you that. You tell me in the chat or in the comments later if you listen to this later. Who do you think would make a good fit for the Lions right now? And we have to remember, right? We 3-4 guys are not going to have an immediate impact on a 4-3 defense. Doesn't mean that they can't play both defenses. It just doesn't mean that they don't always fit. Or it means that they don't always fit. So the Patriots are now 1-5. Maybe they're going to be in seller mode. It's Trace's birthday today? I didn't know that. Happy birthday, Trace. So Patriots are 1-5. They could be in seller mode. The Raiders are 2-4. They're more than likely in seller mode. The Browns are 1-5. They're in seller mode. The Jags are 1-5. The Titans are 1-4. They're probably in seller mode. The Rams, they're not selling anybody. The Panthers 1-5. More than likely, they're ready to start selling. Well, I don't know who started this Trayvon Walker crap, but yeah, let's be real. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Again, that's playing Madden. It's people that, I hate to say it this way, but people that don't understand football, that, maybe they play too many video games. Like, that's just playing Madden. You think that you're going to get two number 1 or the number 1, number 2 overall picks on the same team. Yeah, that rarely ever happens. I can't imagine that. There's a reason why Trayvon Walker would be being let go. Being the former, high draft pick that he was, I would want to know a little bit more as to what's going on there. Why would he even be available? That just doesn't make any sense to me. You don't pick a player that high and then get rid of him after 4 seasons or 3 seasons. Let's see here. If you look at the Panthers depth chart, you've got Ashawn Robinson, LeBrian Ray, and Deshaun Williams. There really isn't anybody that I would be running to go get on the Panthers. So the Panthers are out. Let's take a look at, let's go back to the AFC. Patriots depth chart. Now, the one player I do like is Nick Herbig from the Steelers, but they're not letting him go. There ain't no way. Ain't no way. Not happening. Yeah, Trey Hendrickson is, I don't think he was ever an option, Travis. Again, I think that's just, people pumping content. There's really nothing happening there. So the Patriots run a 3-4 defense, so it's a little bit different, right? I mean, they have a left defensive end and a right defensive end, but those players are generally a little bit bigger. You know, they're more of defensive tackle size. So like Daniel Iquale is 6'3", 310 pounds, but he's labeled as a left defensive end or a right defensive end. Keon White, who's labeled as a left defensive end, is 6'5", 285. Now, he's a little bit closer to what would be the big end size, you know, on the Lions defense. He's pretty heavy at 285, and I don't know, you know, his speed or anything like that, but he's got 4 sacks this season, 1 forced fumble. He was a former second-round pick in 2023, so he's not going anywhere. Behind him, you've got Jacqueline Raw. I think he was just picked up last season. You got Dietrich Wise. Jeremiah Farms is a defensive tackle, somebody we don't need. So let's look at linebacker, because linebacker is a position that, even though we're fairly good in that arena, I would still say that we need a cover linebacker that can also get after the quarterback, someone that has speed, which is going to be your Sam. And I'm not real sure if there's really anybody on the Patriots that we would want to go after. Joshua Uche, you know, former second-round pick, maybe. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Yeah, not a whole lot happening there. So I would say the New England Patriots are out. All right, what about the Jaguars? Well, Peter, I don't think it's ever a waste of time. We're just having a conversation, buddy. But this is a different situation. This is not about. It's not about Brad not doing anything last year and wouldn't do anything this year. It's we are down quite a few players now. But like my take was earlier, I don't see us immediately rushing out and grabbing some top tier player. I see Brad Holmes continuing to fill the pipeline, right? One drops out, you've got to fill the funnel. And you're going to bring the guys up that have been playing within this defense already, that know the defense. That's your core now. You've got to figure out a way to make them all work. And then you've got to fill the funnel behind them. So you got, you know, new guys in, learning the system, and get them ready in case somebody else goes down. It still doesn't mean that by the end of the trade deadline, that when some teams are trying to sell, they're trying to cut cap, you know, they're trying to gain some draft capital, there's going to be some options. And I'm not saying that Brad Holmes is going to completely stay out of the game here, because I do believe if the right opportunity smacks Brad Holmes in the face, he's going to take it. So here's your Trayvon Walker from the Jaguars. Now, he was selected in 2022, same year as Aidan Hutchinson. He was the first overall pick. He's got 5 sacks this season, so he was right behind Hutchinson. He's 6'5", 272. You know, he had better physical measurements than Aidan. I think he had better, you know, speed and everything as far as what the combine was than Aidan. He's just been on a crappy defense. Would a player like that make sense? I mean, yeah, he could slide right in and probably give us a good replacement. But now you're talking about a number 1 and a number 2 from the same draft on the same squad. That's a lot of money. You know, Trayvon's going to be up for a contract, but right now you could bring him in. You could force him to play the next 2 seasons under contract. But then you could have a problem in your locker room. You know, this guy may not be happy. He may hold out. And then you're into a situation, because these are not your guys. Like Brad Holmes always says, these are not your guys. These are not the guys that, and not to say that if Trayvon Walker hadn't slipped, that Brad wouldn't have taken him. We don't know that. We will never know that. As much as Brad Holmes is going to tell us Aidan was always the pick, we will never know the true identity to that situation because nothing else was presented to us. That option didn't happen. So we don't know what he would do with Trayvon Walker. From a production standpoint, yes, Trayvon could slide right in. He's been held back because he's been on a terrible team with a terrible defense. I mean, they got some players on this defense now, but for whatever reason, they're just they're not able to put it together. I'm not going to say I'm totally out on Trayvon. I just don't think it makes sense financially. The Browns, of course, we're going to hear about Myles Garrett. Last year, there was some rumblings about Myles Garrett being linked to the Lions. I did a video on it. Nothing really came of it. But the Browns obviously need to completely trash that team and start over, including their quarterback. They need to get rid of Deshaun Watson and just be done with it. They need a complete rebuild. The one guy that may make sense, but he's a little bit small, is that the backup to Myles Garrett, Ogbo O is what I'm going to call him. Ogbo O. He's 6'2", 250, so he's a little bit small, but he's more of your speed guy. He only has 1 sack on the season. So I could see him going after players like that. You got dariussmith. He's been around the league for, 9-10 seasons now. Let's see. He's on a 1-year deal, I think, with the Browns. So I think that there's an opportunity there. His cap hit is 5.2, and then he has a couple of void years after the fact. So the dead cap for the Browns this year, I mean, he's got like a $25 million contract here for 1 year. He's got a bunch of void years. I don't know how they worked all this out. Oh, no, he's signed through 25. My bad. But his cap hit this year is 5.2, and next year is 9.4. And then he's owed 15.8 in 26, 5.4 in 27. So all in, it looks like he's owed, I don't know how much is guaranteed. But all in, I would say he's probably owed somewhere in the range of, so it'd be 20, 25, 35, 40. He's probably around 20 million average per year between 24 and 25. So could you, work something out with, a much older player? Possibly. Would the Browns be willing to eat some of his contract? Maybe. But again, I could see him going after a player like that. Myles Garrett, I mean, who wouldn't love to have Myles Garrett? He's younger than dariussmith. He's 6'4", 272. He is the perfect specimen when it comes to a big defensive end that also has a little bit of speed and can get after the quarterback. He's got 4 sacks this season, 2 forced fumbles. He's a game wrecker. But when you look at his contract, it gets a little scary. So does it make sense? Does it make sense to, completely, tie up all of your funds? Well, right now, Aidan's not going to get that contract extension, more than likely. I don't know about Max Crosby either, 9 drinks. I mean, see, these are all players that it's like playing Madden. That's all you guys are looking at. And the people pumping this stuff out there, that's all they're looking at. Big names, big, shiny toys, right? That's what they are. They got to have the biggest Christmas present under the tree. And that just doesn't always work. And I think that Brad Holmes has shown us through 4 seasons now, he doesn't care about the biggest present under the tree. He cares about the best possible player that fits this team dynamic, that has the best opportunity at fitting the culture and meshing well with this team. Because if you bring in a bad egg, it starts to stink. And when it starts to stink, all of that hard work that you've put in starts to disappear. So we don't want to see that happen. That doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity for a player to make his way to this team, but I think that Brad Holmes is going to be very well reserved into making sure that he ties up the guys that he wants to stick around first. Amik Robertson, better stick around. Carlton Davis, better stick around. I mean, you can see that when he does his homework, Brad Holmes is picking players that fit. Amik and Carlton fit big time. Demo fit big time. Again, so we're talking about Hassan Reddick again. Hassan Reddick got traded and caused a major problem on his new team. Do we want that headache? Doesn't sound like a player that we want, does it? And then again, you're talking about an outside linebacker size. He doesn't fit. Not even close. So if you look at, I'm trying to pull it up right now. The Philadelphia Eagles ran a 3-4. We run a 4-3. It's very difficult to find players that can cross over. I'm not saying they don't exist, but they don't necessarily always cross over. And again, when you're looking for the style of player to replace Aidan, to replace Davenport, Hassan Reddick, again, now he's in a 4-3 defense right now with the Jets. Hasn't played. So we went from a 3-4 to a 4-3. Hasn't played. And let's look at his size. He's not a very big guy. He's 6'1". He's James Houston number 2. Is what he is. He's James Houston number 2. 6'1", 240. He's been around the league since 2017. He's making a boatload of money and he wants more. He gets traded. I can't remember if he requested a trade from the Eagles. I think he did. And so he gets traded, doesn't get a new deal worked out right away with the Jets, and decides not to show up. I don't think that's a guy that we want, because I don't think that Brad Holmes is going to bring in a player and say, yeah, we'll give you a 3 or 4 year deal when we haven't even seen you play yet with our team, in our scheme, with our players, under our coach, working with our defensive coordinator and all of our position coaches. We don't even know how you fit in the building yet. So I am out as they can get on Hassan Reddick. If Brad Holmes knows him, knows about him, has people that know him very well, and he deems that Hassan Reddick is a fit for the Lions, go for it. I trust in what Brad will do, 1,000%. But from the surface level, right, from a million miles away looking in on a subject here, Hassan Reddick doesn't fit this team. Not even close. Not even close. Not only his body size doesn't fit this team, but the mentality that we're seeing from how he's reacted after a trade and not getting an immediate, contract and holding out this whole season and holding the Jets team hostage. I don't, why would we want that kind of player? Penei Sewell and all of the guys, Monroe St. Brown, Jared Goff, none of those guys were going to hold out. Now, I say that because that's what they told us. We don't know if push came to shove if they actually would have. Brad Holmes got those deals done. He took care of his players because he knew that those were the guys that he wanted around for a long time. And so I think when you look at every situation, if Brad Holmes is gonna do something here, I don't think it's going to be for a player that needs to come in to get an immediate contract. I think it's going to be for a player that maybe has a year or two left on their deal that isn't extremely disgruntled, right? That's playing well, having a decent season, that just gets traded. Or he does nothing until the trade deadline, and then we'll talk about it again. And I'm sure that people are going to talk about it every week. And there's going to be the posts that say, Brad Holmes is on the phone with this person, or, you know, Brad Holmes is about to trade for this person. It happens every year. Happens with the same channels, same bat time, same bat place, same bat result. Nothing burgers. Always come from it. Yeah, I'd say, you know, with JJ, you would still get some great production. But at the end of the day, it's not. I don't need JJ to come in here and give us a bunch of sacks. What we need is an extremely intelligent player that knows how to play defense, that can be a team leader still, right? That is very well respected, and can come in and be an extension of the coaching staff. They can put this team in a good position to win. He doesn't have to come in and light up the stat sheet, but I bet you he still would. He's in better shape now than he was before. And again, I'm not saying there's even an opportunity there, because there may not be. You know, he's been adamant about playing for the Texans. I just thought last night it was a little enlightening that, you know, he immediately commented about Aidan, and then I'm thinking, I know he's still ready to go. He says this is the last year he's going to do that, and then he's done. He's never going to be available again. Of course, they always say things like that, and they end up being available, but we'll see what happens. If I know, you know, what Brad Holmes does, which I don't, right? I can only see, you know, the proof is in the pudding, right? It's in the work. Brad's already been on the phone. I'm sure that he's already trying to figure out who's available. He has a short list. You know, he's ready to go every day with a list. I imagine. I mean, I would be if I were in that position. I would always have a short list in my pocket. Who's available? And then I would watch, you know, throughout the day how those players played every weekend. Who's available? And if I've got to make a phone call, you know, to get somebody in, at least I have a good idea of who's available. It'd be interesting to see what happens. At the end of the day, I just wish that we didn't have this situation in front of us. I don't think it's going to derail our season at all. Yep, Aidan's going to be sorely missed. And his effort, his hustle plays, and his leadership, his personality, everything about Aidan's going to be missed. But you can bet your bottom dollar that this Lions team is not going to take a step backwards. If anything, this is going to give them even more of a reason to play harder. So, anyway, we'll dig more into it. I'll dig more into the stats and that tomorrow, as soon as PFF gets their act together. It seems like every Sunday night game and the Monday night, they're always so far behind. So we'll get more into that. I'm going to head off to my appointment. You guys have a good rest of your Monday. Again, shout out to Aidan. Wish you well, man, in your recovery and into your family. And of course, all the Lions out there that are reeling today because of a giant loss in Aidan Hutchinson last night. Things are going to be fine. Lions are going to be all right. Aidan's going to be fine. He'll be back. It's going to be a long road to recovery, but he'll be back. And the Lions are going to still continue to show dominance this season. This is our year, and we're not going to stop. So ain't no stopping until we get to the mountaintop, and even then we've got to get to the other side, and we're going to do just that. Appreciate you guys watching Rock Down Detroit Lions Rise and Grind Morning Show. Please do us a favor and check out all of the raffles on buymeacoffee.com/rocked on. Of course, you can hit the QR code that is up right now and just hit it with your phone and follow it to the website. It'll take you to all of the raffles that are available. I'll be putting up more products this week, and some of the raffles we are very close to ending. We just have to hit the reserve. So if you feel like getting in on the Aidan Hutchinson jacket, there's not a better time now than to do it. We've got the Aidan Hutchinson jacket out there. It is a rare blackout edition on buymeacoffee.com/rocked on. And then, of course, the helmets that we're giving away. I forgot to give one away in the live stream the other day. We didn't really have 100 people in there again, so I couldn't give one away. But we did hit, I believe, our next milestone. So pay attention to the next pop-up live stream, because the next pop-up live stream will include us giving away another signed mini helmet by Panay Sewell. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you back here later on this afternoon. And we've got some videos and some more stuff to talk about. We just need some stats to talk about it. All right, we'll catch you later. Take care.
Igniting the light through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together